Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's discussion. I'm so excited to have you. We'll be jumping into the conversation shortly, but please first add any questions you have in the chat, and and the experts on the call will answer them towards the end of the call. But today we're talking to ISDI and Accenture about a unique implementation of Net Zero Cloud. We'll discuss why and how ISDI is using Net Zero Cloud and the implementation process with Accenture and Salesforce, and what the future of sustainability in the business is. Let's get started with introductions. I'm Tanya Toon. I'm the Senior Director of the Accenture Partnership with Salesforce, and I'm inspired by our core values as an organization because we are passionate to stimulate change, and our partnership is passionate to do it together. So I couldn't have joined this dynamic company at a better time. And thanks for joining us, Victor. Please introduce yourself and share what sustainability means to you in your organization.
Hi everyone, I'm Victor Kessler. I'm the country manager for ISDI France. ISDI, we are a Salesforce authorized training provider. So we train both Salesforce customers and Salesforce partners, and we help them prepare for certification exams, and we partner with Salesforce to expand its ecosystem and to create jobs in the Salesforce ecosystem. On a personal level, I'm deeply convinced that sustainability and the fight against climate change must be a top one priority for all of us, not only as businesses, but as well in our personal lives. And that's what probably we are going to talk about today is how I did implement and use my personal convictions at ISD.
Thank you, Victor. Danielle.
Hi everyone. So I'm Danielle Thomé. I'm a managing director in charge of the Salesforce business group for Accenture France. And within my role, I'm a full supporter of this topic, and it comes from deep personal and professional conviction to help our clients and own teams in building levers supporting sustainability. I really consider myself fortunate to be able to have this role, and I'm convinced that changing towards more responsible behavior is vital in the years to come to build a better future for us and our kids. So I'm very happy to share this session with you today.
It's wonderful to have you, Danielle. Thank you very much, and thanks for joining us. Fel, my fellow colleague, will you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, Tanya. Hi, everyone. My name is Fel Meyer. I'm a director at Salesforce, and I'm the global lead for our sustainability partnership with Accenture. I'm passionate about sustainability because climate change is one of the defining challenges of our time. I have 2 young daughters, so it's even more important that I make sure they grow up in an equitable world with clean air and economic opportunity for everyone. I personally feel incredibly fortunate to work for a company whose values align so well with mine. I'm really inspired by the way that Salesforce drives climate action and operationalizes sustainability across our entire business. And I also love that we enable our partners like Accenture and our customers to drive positive change with our solution. Thanks, Tanya.
Brilliant. Thank you, Fel. And thank you, everyone, for joining the call. Victor, ISDI has actually helped Salesforce partners to skill up their teams. Is that right? I mean, what drew you to this application of Net Zero Cloud for ISDI?
So yes, as mentioned before, so we train trailblazers and we help them skill up their teams and pass certifications exam, which have, as we know, a great value in the labor market all over the world. In December 2020, actually, we took the decision to open a brand new training center in Paris. So we created what we have called the Digital Acceleration Center, which is a unique place at the heart of Paris, dedicated to digital transformation, skills development, and the Salesforce ecosystem. I am convinced that even the crisis has shown that we can drive digital transformation from home. We are all willing to meet again in person and to share ideas and to share, I don't know, a coffee and to create human links again. Beyond our screens. So that's why we created a training center and a kind of a third place in the middle and between the home and the office to allow trailblazers to meet and find the vibes again. And when I decided to open this center in Paris, like almost 18 months ago, I told myself I cannot do that in 2020, 2021 without putting at the heart of everything, at the core of everything we do, some core values that will drive our actions and that will drive everything in this center. And that's where sustainability arrives and rises. Like for me, because it's a personal conviction that we must do something, it must start somewhere, and I couldn't open such place without taking sustainability into account. So it started with very concrete actions to limit our impact on Earth. So it means choosing a cleaning provider who uses only eco-certified products. It means choosing a recycling provider as well. It means a lot of things. We have a small garden, so we ask our provider not to use any pesticide when it comes, etc., etc. And I told myself, okay, I'm implementing some really small concrete actions, but how do I put myself in a mode where I will be improving continuously? And how do I track my action, track my impact, and make sure that month after month and years after years, I do keep limiting my impact on Earth, and I do improve myself, because it's good to start somewhere, but I think it's and I'm a super small startup, so I will not resolve the issue and the challenge we have. But it's important to take my part on this, and to take our part as a training provider of Salesforce. So that's where we started, and we decided to use Net Zero Cloud first to track and to calculate our carbon emissions. So that's where we are doing and calculating scope 2 emissions, which are basically our emissions coming from our electricity bill. And secondly, we decided to involve all of our stakeholders, and that's where we built an innovative solution with Accenture and with Daniel's team, where we decided to create a form where where you enter our center in Paris, you will find an iPad and a form built on Salesforce, where you will enter some basic information on how did you came to us, how did you commute it to us? So did you take the train? Did you take a flight? Are you staying at a hotel, or did you take, I don't know, a taxi or something? So you fill in basic information on your transportation, and then it sends you an email and calculates for you your carbon emission from you coming to us, and then it just invites you to plant some trees. To plant some trees. So that's where we wanted to involve our customer, our partners, our instructors, our employees as well, and maybe we'll talk about that later. But I think it's extremely important for our employees. So we wanted to, and everything in this is tracked and delivered by Net Zero Cloud, and you'll find at the entrance as well a dashboard of the total carbon emissions from the beginning of the year, and the total number of trees that not only us at ISD, but all of our ecosystem has planted since a certain period of time.
No, that's fascinating, Victor. You're not only skilling and educating our next trailblazers, but you're actually skilling them from the core with sustainability, from start to finish, which is amazing. Danielle, you know, Accenture sort of decided to embark on this very innovative project. Tell us about how it all happened and what the process was like working with ISD to build this.
So actually, we have co-designed the project jointly with ISD in an agile mode, while in a tripartite partnership involving our three companies, Salesforce, Accenture, and ISD. So it was quite simple. We first collected ISD's needs and vision, back to what Victor was describing. We identified the bulk of their carbon footprint that mainly comes from the trainees' activities, and we held iterative workshops to match the solution with the needs that were identified. So practically, in a concrete manner, we held a weekly meeting where we showcased what has been built and matched it with the defined requirements. So it took us the equivalent of 2 to 3 months overall to come up with the solution. And actually, we encountered like 3 key challenges. First one was around defining the emission factors and capturing the necessary data for the calculation. Because as you know, emission factors are key to take an example, we had to make the distinction between France and Germany, for example, where in the first we were applying nuclear electricity and the latter it's carbon-based electricity. And this is where we can see the beauty of Net Zero Cloud that provides native databases with lots of emission factors. And the second challenge that I would mention was around capturing the data. So carbon footprint related to scope 1, as I mentioned, is mainly related to trainees' activities. So the data was not available as such, and we had to ask the trainees to record their own data, and this is where the iPads helped. They were provided in the ISD lobby and entrance. And again, this is where Net Zero Cloud was an accelerator as it provides pre-established forms. So we were able, thanks to these forms, to collect the data. And the third challenge is more like a prerequisite. It was creating adoption and awareness. So trainees received an email following the entry of their consumption. And their consumption was translated into a number of trees to be planted, and they were also pushed towards a website which incentivized them to replant these trees. So this is key, even though the only goal is not to compensate, but to decrease consumption, but it also contributes in raising awareness. So we can fairly say, and in a very objective way, that Net Zero Cloud is a great tool that can provide lots of functionalities natively. However, there are a few challenges, especially around capturing, structuring the data. And it's a project that is not only IT or solution driven, it should be driven through a clear ESG roadmap, the right underlying data architecture, as well as the right adoption awareness plan for us to be a success.
Thank you. So from the both of you, I know I'm going off a piece a little bit here, but the business value of sustainability and embarking on these projects, and apologies, I'm not sort of asking a question I've asked before, but what do you see the business value to yourself, Victor, in SD?
I think we don't have an immediate and direct business value. So Net Zero Cloud doesn't bring me additional customer or doesn't generate more revenue. I think it's first of all, as I said, it's a personal conviction that sustainability and taking into account the well-being of our stakeholder. For me, it's a no-brainer. Every businesses must do that, must put sustainability at the core of everything they do, and must take into account their responsibility in terms of how we deal with customers and how we deal with providers. So in my personal life, I'm trying to choose some products and some brands who have this corporate social responsibility. So for me, it's not even a business value, it's a no-brainer on how do I choose my personal provider. So of course, as a leader of a company in France, I must behave the same way. But at the end of the day, I'm sure it's creating value, because more and more our customer will be looking for such companies, and will be going away from companies that do not put these values at the heart of their businesses. And it brings value as well as an employer, and for my employee, because I think more and more the young generation, and you know, for me, I miss we are 8 people in France, we are 100 people worldwide. It's super difficult to attract talents and to keep them and to make sure they want to come to work for us. And this kind, because like compared to like unicorn startup in Paris where you have like lots of people, lots of like we are in a training industry, so it's difficult to attract talents, and putting values in our business is, I think, something that more and more talents are looking for, working for companies and businesses who do respect their stakeholder, and within this stakeholder, it's also how we deal with employees, what not advantages, but how we behave as a manager, how we lead them, and how we manage them. So I think net zero cloud is part of this global corporate social responsibility. Not only we want to have, but we must have, and I'm deeply convinced that it will be a no-brainer for companies, and companies that do not take this into account, I don't know if they will die, but they will be performing less than they did in the past.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Fel, from your experience, and you've worked with a lot of companies around sustainability, it's your passion and it's a core value of all of us, especially working at Salesforce. Tell me, what business value, what employee value, all those things that we really hold dear, do you see? Can you sort of elaborate on that piece?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think first of all, Victor mentioned sort of all the various stakeholders involved, and those stakeholders more than ever are demanding transparency and they're demanding action. And I think net zero cloud really brings transparency to this question of sustainability and net zero in a way that simply just has not been as easily and readily accessible in the past. And we talk a lot at Salesforce about sort of the process of carbon footprinting going from 6 months to 6 weeks, and that's real value, right? Because that frees up teams to spend less time sort of in the thick of Excel spreadsheets, doing carbon calculations, and actually looking at ways to use the data and improve their operations and work with their suppliers and identify ways to really change the paradigm and improve their sustainability metrics. And I think again, Victor's point about sort of employee retention and proving to the marketplace and to potential employees that this is a true value and something that is embedded in the way that we do business. I mean, I think again, Salesforce is a great example of that, right? We recently announced that sustainability is a core value of ours. And so doing that kind of thing actually makes us much more competitive moving forward.
Yeah. And Fel, how has sustainability impacted our partnership for the greater good?
Yeah, absolutely. So our two CEOs, Mark Benioff and Julie Squeak, came together over a year ago now to establish this partnership in sustainability between Salesforce and Accenture. We share a vision of helping businesses reinvent the way they operate in every area of the business to capture the value that sustainability unlocks. Both of our organizations see business as the greatest platform for change, and we have a common desire to enable our customers to put sustainability at the core. So through this partnership, we've shown leadership across our two companies. So on the Salesforce side, the power of net zero cloud, which we're learning a lot about today, and the broader sustainability 360 vision for our customers. And then, of course, on the Accenture side, Accenture brings deep sustainability services and technology expertise, which really brings Salesforce's solutions into customers' business strategies, their operating models, their core processes. So, Tanya, I previously worked at Accenture, so I've had the good fortune to witness the innovation and passion for creating positive change at both companies. And I can tell you that when these two organizations put their mind to something, the sky's the limit. And I think Victor and Izdi and Danielle's story really shows the power of bringing our two organizations together to solve big problems.
It's wonderful. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm really inspired by the way Izdi has translated this core value of sustainability to a customer experience. Victor, what has the reaction been? Your clients, your employees? Do you have any anecdotal feedback?
Yeah, we did receive some feedback, even if of course we have some things to improve, but I think employees and my team is super excited, and I did some interviews for the past 12 months. I hired like 2 or 3 new people in the team, and I think this story, as I told before, was key in attracting them to ISD, and I think they are super excited about this project and about everything we do around our values. And on visitor side, I think it's as well. Um, um, People are like recognizing that what we are doing and what we implemented is great, and people say, oh, it's great, it's super innovative, and at least it makes them think and make them, and that's the goal at the end of the day. It's you come to SD, and when you go back home on the evening, you say, hey, okay, they had an innovative solution on how we can try to have an impact. So feedbacks are great. We do have to improve the way people are actually entering data on the iPad. I think like people are seeing see that there is this solution, seeing the iPad, but for a reason I'm analyzing as we speak. Um, Not so many people are actually going into the form and filling in the data. So that's where we need to think and with Accenture's team to see how we can make them act and not only see that they can act. So it's our improvement, and we all have to improve in 2022. So it's what we are doing right now.
No, brilliant. Thank you. Fel, Danielle, as you work with teams implementing net zero cloud, what is the energy like? Are they inspiring as victors?
Yeah, maybe I can jump in first.
Go ahead.
So, absolutely, and that that excitement, Tanya, is, I think, and that energy is what has been driving a lot of the momentum for sustainability, both internally and in the marketplace. And I think our customers are coming to us with bigger and bolder problems than ever. Right. So, for example, we can take the work that Accenture has been doing at MasterCard around Scope 3 emissions and really enabling MasterCard to track, analyze, and take action on supplier level carbon emissions using Net Zero Cloud. And it's a perfect example of our two companies working directly with sort of a forward-thinking customer and helping them think through this very unique use case. I'd say broadly speaking, our customers have very ambitious goals, and they're getting very smart about how to achieve them. And they really want to blow those goals out of the water. And so we're really excited to be along with them for the ride, and sort of hear what unique use cases they have and help them address them.
Yeah. And maybe I can, back to your question, Tonya, I can assure you that the teams working on this topic on the Accenture side are at least as passionate as Victor. So this is to tell you how passionate they are. And I agree with Victor. It's also a kind of a recruitment tool for us to attract talent, because this is really key for our people and our resources. So the passion is there, the engagement is there, and I'm a big fan of what we are witnessing around this. As for our customers, and I agree with you, Fel, so this is clearly all of the clients that you have been meeting have the ambition to go into sustainability, have built strategic plans around that. However, there are differences in terms of maturity. So even though the ambition is there, the maturity is not the same. And at Accenture, we talk about sustainability the same way when you talked about digitalization wave, meaning that we need to have the right people. So we had CDOs, we need to have chief sustainability officers, we have the means, we need to have the means as well invested on this topic. So the ambition is there, the means are starting to be there, and the tooling as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've got so much to look forward to. Victor, what's next for you? How are you going to maintain this momentum with ISD and develop? What's next?
Yes. So as I told you before, the first project in 2022 is to improve the way people are actually going to the iPad and filling in the forms. That's the first project we are working on. And secondly, it's to expand. We have like digital acceleration center in 3 countries, and we have 4 of them. So Paris, of course, but Madrid, Barcelona, and Mexico. With different kind of training we deliver abroad and outside France. So one of our projects as well, and that's where we are as well working actually with Accenture in Spain, for example, is to implement this solution in our centers in Madrid and Barcelona, and then in a third phase in Mexico, and same as in France, see how we can include our trainees and our students in this project. So that's one of our project this year.
Thank you, Victor. I think we've got a lot of work to do to catch up with you. Val, I mean, honestly, I'm so excited to be part of this dynamic organization. We just don't stop, do we? We're developing, we're growing. What's next? What's the next big thing?
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Tanya. So, I can highlight a couple of things that are sort of now and in the immediate future. First of all, we just yesterday at Salesforce announced a first incredible milestone, which is that sustainability is now a core company value. I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, for me, having been in this world now for, close to 12 years, this is very impressive for a company of this size to really put this kind of a statement out there, right? And so what does this mean? This means that every organization and individual within Salesforce is now being held accountable to their sustainability impact. It's truly amazing how powerful it is to have the entire company held to a consistent standard, and that's going to make it easier for us to achieve the goals that we've set out. So that's sort of the first big thing. I think the second, equally, which is very relevant to the topic today, is that we launched Net Zero Cloud 2.0. And so the tool Net Zero Cloud has been completely rebuilt to supercharge our customers' journeys to net zero. And we've added a bunch of new functionality, things like, for example, new supplier engagement functionality to really enable our customers to get deep into Scope 3 and track their Scope 3 emissions across the entire value chain and help their suppliers and distributors reduce their emissions, right? And especially for the types of customers that we work with, and the footprint that they have, this ends up being a large portion of their impact. And of course, this is critical because we consistently hear from our customers that Scope 3 emissions are often their biggest challenge to address. We're also including the ability for our customers to commit to, develop, track, and manage science-based targets in the tool. Very exciting as well. We're introducing new emissions forecasting and what-if functionality to allow our customers to forecast how different actions might impact their carbon footprint moving forward. And we're also really excited to announce a waste-related emissions tracking module. So adding waste. And so again, sort of continuing to build on this very exciting and impressive tool and enable our customers like ISDI to do more and more with it. So all really exciting stuff and lots to look forward to in the coming months and years.
Yeah, we're not sitting still, that's for sure. Thanks, Val.
That's right.
Danielle, what about Accenture? What are you guys doing? What's the next move for you?
Actually, it's also a core value for Accenture. And so we are also setting up Net Zero Cloud at Accenture. This was an initiative conducted by the team itself to manage our ESG performance. And our wish is to be able to manage the carbon footprint at the level of our core activities. So yeah, we're looking to empower all of our teams, engage them in this core value for which Accenture has set itself very ambitious objectives. We achieved minus 65%, so 65% reduction of our emissions in 2021. And we're looking to be net zero by 3 years, so in 2025.
That's astonishing. Fantastic. I'm going to go over to some of the questions because they're really relevant at this point, if you don't mind. And this is probably a question for Fel and Danielle. But Look, from an Accenture perspective, you have choices out there, right? You can choose what technology to help you and your clients move towards the sustainable future. But what does net zero cloud compare to other solutions proposed by other vendors? What do we do differently? I'll ask Danielle first, if you don't mind. How do we compare?
Okay, so I actually said earlier that we can fairly say that it's a very powerful tool. So taking the customer voice, actually often the reaction that we get when they look at the reporting capacity as such, and they're really surprised, and they say this is exactly what we are looking for. And the complexity in this topic is to be able to compute the scoring, get the scoring factors, etc. And what Net Zero Cloud provides natively is a great accelerator. So what we have achieved with ISD was done on a very short time scale. So natively, the Net Zero Cloud provides lots of functionalities, lots of scoring, lots of preforms that really bring the topic to power very, very rapidly.
Well, that makes really great sense. One for you, Phil. How does Net Zero Cloud calculate carbon footprint?
Yeah, and maybe Tanya, I'll just add to Danielle's
Please.
answer first. Net Zero Cloud really brings the power of the Salesforce platform to our customers, right? So, of course, it does all of the great things that we've talked about around carbon footprinting and reporting, et cetera. But with the sort of the full sustainability 360 vision that we have at Salesforce, and so if you need to integrate to other tools, it's very easy to do so. If you need to report to the C-suite or to Wall Street, it's again and have sort of fully automated processes to do so. Again, very easy. We of course have the power of Slack, right, which is a Salesforce product, and so now we can use Slack to easily interact with and engage our suppliers and our distributors in a seamless way. We've got Tableau CRM for reporting, and so, or if we think about sort of Experience Cloud for bringing in vendors into the process and sort of engaging them directly around their sustainability data. And so when you start adding these things up, right, you really get the sort of the full picture of putting the customer at the center in every way, whether that be sales or service, and now bringing sustainability into the picture. I think that's the sort of the true special sauce of Salesforce, and how this tool can really be extremely powerful. The other question, sorry, Tanya, can you remind me?
Sorry, I had completely jumped on there.
Absolutely. No. I got excited.
So how's it calculated? How's the carbon footprint calculated?
Yeah, absolutely. So it comes down to emissions factors. And so you can think of a large company has emissions coming from different sources. You know, Victor mentioned, do people use a taxi or a bus or a plane, right? If I'm a big company, I've got my buildings that either I own or I rent out. I've got company travel. I've got production of materials. All of those are happening sort of in different places, and the data coming in is coming sort of in a variety of different forms, really everything under the sun. And so what the way that we calculate the carbon footprint is that we take that and we convert it using emissions factors, which convert that data coming in into sort of a single source of greenhouse gas emissions or carbon emissions more broadly, that we can now report at an aggregate level, to say, okay, across all of our operations in one place or across all of our operations under one business unit, this is what the carbon footprint is.
And is there a visual effect that you can literally share with your CEOs so they don't have to go and find all the detail themselves?
Absolutely, and that's something that Accenture is extremely good at, right? Is using tools like Tableau CRM to build a dashboard, not only of your environmental data, right, but ESG data more broadly, right. And putting this all together, having the sort of the workflows in place in the background to pull the data from various sources, but then building a sort of a beautiful report to share with, for example, Julie Sweet or the board of directors at any given time. And again, coming back to this idea that this isn't something that took 6 months to prepare, right? I think we're moving into a world where those reports need to be readily available. They're not just something that needs to be prepared once a year when it's time to do for our customer to create a sustainability report, something that that the CEO, the board, the Wall Street more broadly is going to be asking for on a regular basis.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the things, that we need to keep track on is a part of, we talk about sustainability. It's not just about planting trees, is it? It's about social equality. It's about the economics. It's, it's everything. It's the 3 E's and those sort of things. When a CEO can have a look at a dashboard and say, do you know what? We've got this gap. We need to fix it. It's so much simpler and less challenging for them to be focused on where they need to focus. I'm loving all these questions and thank you to the audience. I have one for Danielle. Danielle, as you work with other customers on sustainability programs, what are the most common challenges you're seeing organizations face?
Main challenges are due to maturity. So I think we have a great move now towards leaders who do believe now that it's not only about words, about taking concrete actions. But taking concrete actions requires a few prerequisites. So I mentioned data, and I think data is quite critical. So we need to get the right data in order to compute all of these scorings and have the right reporting. And the second challenge is around awareness, adoption, and communicating to all of the stakeholders. And the third one, having the right governance. So there should be dedicated people, dedicated means for this topic, for it not to be just a text written on a strategic deck, but also the means for it to become real and to go beyond words and wishful thinking.
Yeah. One for you, Phil. The general question is, are we just measuring based on emissions? What about waste?
Yeah, and it's a timely question because we just added a waste module into Net Zero Cloud in our new release that we announced yesterday. And so the question is right. It's not only emissions, right? It's not only the emissions created when sort of operating a building or driving into the office. It's the waste generated. It's the water used, right? And we certainly have plans to add a water module in the near future as well. And because there is an environmental impact to waste generation. So the short answer is yes. Net Zero Cloud is designed to account for emissions from the entire operations, not just the ones that are sort of explicitly generating emissions like powering a building.
No, brilliant. Last one for you, Phil, is how does Net Zero help measure social diversity goals?
Yeah, it's not a core focus of the tool today, right? And I think that's again where the flexibility of the Salesforce platform really comes into play. That we can easily plug into other tools like Workday, for example, that manage social, where organizations manage social and governance data to pull that in and be able to report on it along with environmental data. If you listen to our CEO Mark Benioff on this, right, he really wants us to focus on net zero. We as Salesforce have achieved net zero. We want to enable our customers to achieve net zero, and that's why we've sort of doubled down on the net zero portion of sort of the ESG space for now, with of course the ability for our customers to build on their net zero capabilities in Net Zero Cloud, bringing in data from other sources, and provide a full ESG picture.
Thank you, Val. I must say I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I really appreciate your time. I don't know if anybody wants to close out with any comments, any observations, any next steps. If not, I think I've covered all the questions, but if there are any more, please do let us know. Lastly, I'd like to thank Victor.
Tanya.
Yes, sorry.
I'll just jump in, and I wanted to thank Victor. I mean, I love the story, and I also I love this idea of the iPad and sort of making sustainability tangible for the end user. And of course, I've never been to the training facility. I hope to make it there one day, but just seeing pictures of sort of people interacting and engaging and being, I don't want to say forced to think about this, but sort of having it be part of the conversation from the minute that they enter your facility, I think is so powerful. And it's really inspiring and fun to know that you built that on at Zero Cloud. So just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you so much, and thanks everyone for your support in this project. And this project could not have been delivered without Salesforce partnership, without Accenture partnership with us. So thank you everyone, and of course, like, feel free to come anytime you come to Paris. Drop by, and happy to give you a cafe provided by the way by Café Joyeux, which is another part of our corporate social responsibility. I think, Daniel, you know them.
Absolutely.
So anytime you'll be welcome.
Thank you so much, Victor, Danielle, Val, for joining me in this discussion. It's been really eye-opening, and I've thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you. Thank you for your time, everyone, for joining us. We'll be posting the recording of this session on the Salesforce Partner LinkedIn page and also on YouTube. But for the time being, thank you for your time, and thank you to my guests for a very lively conversation.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Thank you. Bye.